trying to get one more cooking video in before I pack up shop and move back to Florida. So this is it. I'm going to make I'm making supper for myself. And it's going to be shirataki noodles with Morningstar crumbles, soy crumbles, a little bit of onion and mushroom. So I'm going to saute the onion and mushroom and the soy crumbles and then put the noodles on top and let them simmer using garlic powder and cumin. For my vegetables, I'm going to warm up some Brussels sprouts that I've already roasted with cayenne pepper and curry powder. And I'm going to cook this yellow squash. I'm going to simmer it or low boil it with Old Bay spice. So I didn't get out the crumbles. Sorry. The first thing I want to do, I guess, is get my squash going. So I'm just going to chop it, I guess, not dice it. And I already have my pans warming up, so I should hurry. I hope you can still see me. So not real small, but I don't want it to take a long time to cook. So I'd say they look like they're about a ½ inch. And I might go ahead and sprinkle this dry spice on here. There's something burning in my pan there. In my drip pan, there's some food on fire. Probably a piece of popcorn that escaped my popper, my air popper. So let me crack the window. And turn it down, it's too high. And I already have set. Really, I planned this. So, simmer fry these a little bit, but then I'm going to add water and then leave them alone while we work on the rest of the stuff. Oh my God. Turn that one down. Okay, I am using a red onion because that's what I have. Doesn't matter. I don't think it would matter. And I just lost another squash. I need to calm down. Okay. The Brussels sprouts I'm just going to heat up on my plate, so I don't need to show you that. I bought the baby Bella mushrooms, or cruminy, instead of the white button mushrooms, even though they're about 50 cents to $1 more, because it makes like a brown gravy, and it's really cool. You know, it makes the brown gravy without any fat or flour in it. And I already opened a bag of the shirataki spaghetti. Actually, this is fettuccine, this is spaghetti. Doesn't matter which one you use. They're just noodles shaped differently, made out of tofu. They've changed. This is the soya brand. It seems like it's changed a little. It says now it's only 15 calories per serving when it used to be 20. Other than that, everything looks the same. It has some fiber in it and a little bit of protein, no sugar, no fat. So to use these, you drain them and then you parboil them in a bowl of water for 2 minutes in the microwave, a glass bowl, then drain them. I used the half a bag, so the other half was is in this water. It was in my refrigerator. Can you hear the sirens in the window? Great. They're not coming to my house. I don't have that much of smoke going on. Anyway, just drain the water of these. And, I don't know, you can use a quarter cup of these, a third a cup, 2/3. I think the actual serving size is 2/3, but you know how many calories you need in a day, and therefore per any given meal. Since I've got so much other stuff going on, I'm going to use a quarter cup. I'm just letting this squash brown a little bit. Now I'm going to add water. I always feel like I should be saying something. So I'm not simmer frying these. I'm not adding water, letting it boil out, adding and boiling out. I'm just putting in about that much water, and I'll let them boil, simmer. Yes. Okay. So, just a little bit of onion. I think I'll go with sliced. This is the way you bulk up your meal. So it has a lot of nutrients but not a lot of calories, whereas cooking in oil, olive oil, adds a whole lot of calories because the food absorbs it and you got to put enough to cover the pan. Using cream sauces, butter, breadcrumbs and things, they add a lot of calories, but they don't add any volume. The way I cook adds volumes and not a lot of calories. And then the mushrooms, which you should clean off with a mushroom brush, not wash them, because when you get them wet, it just kind of rubs the dirt in to them. So just a couple of mushrooms, depending on your taste. I actually have like a brush, but they make special mushroom brushes that probably cost a lot more than this paintbrush did. I have been a poor graduate student. I don't have any extra money for fancy kitchen supplies. And I don't know that I would spend money on a fancy kitchen supply when a paintbrush would do just fine. So I'm gonna add my spices too. As I said, cumin and garlic are the spices I'm choosing to use today. You might use something different. No big deal. I don't know that anything would be wrong because the morning's Star Farms, let me make sure that's the right brand. The crumbles don't really have the taste other than what you provide when you add the spices and things. So I do want to simmer fry this a little bit. And then add the noodles, and I'm going to turn it down low and let it simmer a bit, and then this flavor sort of gets sucked into the noodles. You can also serve it with sour cream if you like, fat-free sour cream, although probably a little bit of saturated fat is not harmful. I don't know that. I'm not a nutritionist anyway, but they're studying the whole fat thing again. We know trans fat, it's out. Saturated fat, probably a good idea to limit it, but you don't have to avoid it altogether, is what I was trying to say. Personally, I avoid it altogether. That's just me. So I like to get the mushrooms a little bit brown before I add any water. I haven't added my spices yet because when you don't cook with oil, there really isn't any place for the spices to go. I mean, if they miss your food, they're going to go on the pan and burn a little bit. So now I've piled up my mushrooms and onions so that my spices are more likely to go on them than the pan. So some garlic. And if you have fresh garlic, by all means, use the fresh garlic. Okay, so garlic and cumin in there. Simmer fry. You can have a glass of water by your stove, or if you live in the world's smallest kitchen, you can just do that. So I will let it simmer fry a minute or two, and then I'll add the noodles. And I don't really know how long I let it cook. Usually I get distracted doing something and I simmer fry it 10 minutes maybe? It's up to you. I haven't found anything, the noodles don't go sour, haven't toughened up or anything, but this isn't something where you would make extra and freeze it because the noodles don't respond well to being frozen and then thawed out. I think they shrivel up in a way. So this is simmering a little. This is simmering more. That means it's a harder boil, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to add the noodles in a minute. If I can add more water, to make it cook longer, don't want the pan to go dry, do that a couple times, because I added a lot more water to this one, and by a lot more, it was probably just a half a cup. But here I'm adding like an eighth of a cup, or a quarter of a cup at a time, and letting it simmer out, and that is what's cooking the vegetables. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. And when I do that, I stir it good, stir it in so that the flavor will get on the noodles, but then I leave it for a while. And like I said, I'll probably add water at least one more time and let this cook, say, 5 minutes. The noodles are not raw. It's not like pasta that hasn't been cooked, because it's a different texture anyway, and I've already parboiled them and rinsed them from when I opened the package a few days ago. So when things are close to ready, like when most of the water for the yellow squash boils out and I can stick a fork in my yellow squash, depending on how you like your texture, I like mine very soft, then I will, oh my goodness, look, it's my Morningstar crumbles. I guess I'll put them in now. I don't even have any excuses because I'm done writing my dissertation. I'm done writing it and defending it. I should be less distracted. Normally, I would have stirred in those crumbles when the onions and mushrooms were simmering by themselves, but I did not. No worries. Just stir them in now. And now I do need to add a little bit of water. I was talking about plating up my food, wasn't I? It's like, what was I talking about when I noticed my protein source was my main protein source. Okay. When things are close to ready, I will warm up my Brussels sprouts I warm my food up on defrost because I don't want to cook it again. So I'll warm that up, and then I'll add the rest of my meal. Maybe I'll have a little bit of strawberries as a mini dessert. Yeah, that's it. I'll show you the finished plate if I don't get too distracted in the meantime. I'm back. Everything looks good. I've warmed up my Brussels sprouts, and I've decided that I don't have sour cream, but I've decided that I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top of mine. I still got that stroganoff idea in my head. You might be surprised to know that this is regular Parmesan cheese. It's not low fat or reduced fat. If you look at the labels, there's really no difference between the two. So I just get the regular kind. Okay, so here are the noodles. Shiritaki noodles. These are fettuccine, but that doesn't matter. With Morningstar crumbles, mushrooms and onions, seasoned with garlic and cumin, with about a teaspoon, generous teaspoon, of Parmesan cheese to give it some, there's a word for that, ungent, is that the word? Mushrooms and cheese, they have this intense flavor that can sometimes make your food seem more enjoyable is one word, but that's not, meaty, rich, flavorful, gives it substance. You know, people who are not vegetarians often mock foods like tofu and say they taste like cardboard, which it's all in how you cook it. Here are my yellow squash. Here is my yellow squash. It was just one squash. And that's a heck of a plate of food. Little strawberries on the side. But it's less than 200 calories. And all the calories on that plate, as far as I can tell, are healthy ones. Yay. Yay me. Here is the plate.